All right. Welcome back to week 2 of the 21-day challenge. I hope you all are having fun and enjoying the challenge so far. We were just talking about some wins. Desiree's in the background working out here, which is fun. I'm enjoying seeing her lunges in the back. Um, and then I know Ashley just got off of work. She's headed home, so she's picking up kids. And Brenda just had an awesome win of planning ahead and got her meals ready for the week because she knows she's got some double shifts coming up. And shout out to Caitlin, it's her birthday. So she's headed to get some Mexican here in a minute, but she'll be on for a couple minutes. So some good stuff. Overall, speaking to everybody who's participating, I think we still got about 20 or 25 of you guys that are actively participating, which is awesome. Love seeing at least half of the 50 people who signed up are trying to participate and add um, their photos and workouts and such as we get through this. So yeah, it's been pretty awesome. I'm still enjoying seeing all the posts and stuff. And if you guys need anything, definitely happy to help if you have any questions. So don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions about anything. So let's get into this week. I gave you all the shift work nutrition guide and then also, what do I have this other one labeled? The first responders guide to building an effective workout plan. Those are your main two resources this week and the way to take the next step from building that balanced plate and then making it fit with your shift work. Good meals to pack with you on shift, things that are going to be quick and easy for you. And also some hacks there that will be easy for you at work because obviously we don't always have like a half an hour to sit down and eat, right? A lot of times it has to be grab and go type stuff. So an overview of this, it gives you, I mean, you guys can all read through this. I'm not going to sit here and go line by line since you have the attachment. But really it just gives you a loose idea of how to plan for your day. But the one thing that's not in there that I want to preface is that a lot of this comes down to your time management. So my best tips for time management are literally writing it out. If you need to get a piece of paper, write it line by line. I'm sorry, my dogs are trying to play and they're distracting. They're like sprinting around the living room. Anyways, sorry about that. There's Laura. There she is. All right. Hi, Laura. We just got started, so you're not missing much. Hey, girl, we just got started, so you're good.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, no big deal. We were just talking about trying to get into time management because the basis behind this shift work nutrition guide is making sure you are planning out your time. Best ways to do that would be right. I'm a pen and paper person. Some of you can maybe use like a Google Calendar or Apple Calendar or whatever you use. Writing out your day hour by hour, and if you have to do that maybe 2 or 3 days at a time. There's really no need to do it like too far, like 7 days at a time. But that way, it gives you space to put in your sleep, you put in your work hours, and then you can plan your time to either get to the grocery store or when you need to cook and prep for these things. So scheduling is a big thing there because without that scheduling, and like what Brenda was talking about earlier, she went ahead and planned out so she has her meals cooked and ready to go because she knows she's got some double shifts coming up and it's going to be stressful. So versus getting into those doubles and then you're like, well, I don't have any time for this. And then you get into the same cycle again where you're grabbing more of those unhealthy or poor quick choices to try to keep food down versus planning ahead and trying to improve some of those habits. So putting pen to paper is my best recommendation on trying to schedule some of those things out. That way you're making time or you're finding time. I guarantee you, you'll find some extra time that you have in the day to make these happen, make these things happen. So with that being said, getting into the shift work guide, this gives a rough framework on how to plan out your shift. Another thing that I like to talk about as far as time management is having a rough guideline of what your eating windows are and keep those consistent throughout the week as much as possible. I know things change with kids and other commitments, but as much as possible, try to keep those eating windows about the same, whether you're at work or you're not. For instance, when I work an evening shift schedule, I'm usually eating breakfast about 11 or 12. I'm planning lunch about halfway through shift, which is like 5 or 6 o'clock. And then my dinner, I might have a couple snacks or I get home and eat dinner before I go to bed, which I'll go into a little bit more detail here in a second. Um, but even when I'm off of work, I keep that schedule the same. I try to go to bed at the same time. I try to wake up at the same time, and then I keep my meals at the same time each day. That's the best way to plan for consistency. And I know um, call to call work, sometimes you're going to miss that window, but at least gives you a good guide, something to shoot for, to stick with so you can keep that consistency there. So with your first meal of the day, we'll call it breakfast. Doesn't matter if you're going into night shift or evening shift or whatever. First meal of the day, make sure you've got your 30 grams of protein. That's the one thing I want to hound, and some things I'm still seeing. I might comment on it when you guys are posting your photo pics, or your meal photos in the group. Make sure that you have that fist size portion of protein within your main 3 meals that you're eating. It needs to be probably 4 to 5 ounces is a good estimate there if you're weighing it out, or it needs to be like the size of a deck of cards, or maybe even like a deck and a half of cards. That protein is so important when it comes to overall health, longevity, fat loss, strength gain, all of those things. It's also going to help keep your sugar cravings down. It's going to help keep your energy levels high. So getting in that protein is super important the first meal of the day as well. So that way you're starting your day off on the right foot. Some examples there: oatmeal and protein powder, scrambled eggs. You can do a coffee protein shake. One thing I did want to mention is that it's always good to have a good protein powder with you on hand, because those are the quickest meals that you can make. You can throw a scoop of protein powder in a shaker and take it with you to work and fill it up with water whenever you find a water fountain. Or if you want to go buy milk, you can buy a little thing of milk and throw it in there. That is the quickest way to get in some protein, to get in some food. If you're in a pinch, or if you want to use that as more of a meal replacement for breakfast, if you're more of like, I don't want to cook something huge in the morning, a quick protein shake with coffee or like a big old smoothie is a great thing to use there. Or what I plan to send you guys here is a link that's been super helpful for a lot of my clients, is an overnight oats recipe, which I'll send you guys to in the follow-up email after this, because you can switch that up and change the flavors. You can change what you put in it so that it's not the same thing every time. That's been a super helpful for one of my male first responders that I'm working with right now, and he's loving it. So I have a couple protein powders that I love. I use 1st Phorm products. I know you guys have probably seen me post about it before, but it's what I enjoy and what works for me, which is the only reason why I talk about it and suggest it for you all. So there's 2 different kinds there. There's a meal replacement protein, and then there's also like a post-workout protein. So if you're interested more in those, I can dive into that a little bit more later. But if you're looking for one and need a good recommendation, I can tell you a little bit more about those too. So that talks about your breakfast. Your lunch is going to be the main meal that you're going to pack and take with you for a shift. Quickest thing that I always recommend is some crock-pot chicken and some frozen veggies. Those are super easy. If you already have your crock-pot chicken made, you throw your frozen veggies in your lunchbox with you and you have your meal that you can heat up really quick. So, and obviously whatever you have for leftovers, you can pack and take with you, whatever fits for you there. I saw something pop up in the chat, and now I gotta go back and find it. Brenda says I do the coffee protein shakes. Yep. I love the coffee the night before. You know what? My husband yells at me because he's a coffee snob, and I will always reheat old coffee if it's still in the coffee pot, just so I don't have to make a new pot of coffee. He's like, "How dare you reheat coffee?" And I'm like, "You know what? I'd rather do that than throw it in the trade, because we just paid like $12 a bag for this damn coffee." Side rant, but that's hilarious. I love that. That's a great way to do that. A lot of people too, if you want to throw it in the fridge, you can. I used to do that with iced coffee too. So it's already cold in the morning if you want to make your iced coffee. The ice cube's a great idea too. I've never done that, but I like that. All right, cool. Any questions so far? Everyone following? Good. Drop like a yes, and or thumbs up is good if you got your camera on. Okay, cool. In addition to your lunch, always, always, always make sure you have snacks with you. Because the worst thing is you get stuck in the middle of the day where you're running calls, or you're just like super busy, maybe within the corrections facility, where you can't like sit down and have a meal. So make sure you always have snacks with you, because when you don't, then you end up being starving and you're hangry and in a bad mood. And typically, if you're out and about, that's when you grab like a drive-through cheeseburger or maybe something from the vending machine, something like that. Again, try to keep protein at the forefront with your snacks. However, there's a bunch of good stuff that you can take: protein bars, the protein powder. Some things that are non-perishable would be like tuna packs, nuts, applesauce, rice cakes, raw veggies and fruits. Some of those things you can keep with you, even if you're leaving them in a patrol car, they'll last for a couple, maybe like 1 week of your work week. Stuff that needs to be refrigerated, maybe like Greek yogurt or something like that. You can keep a cold pack with you and keep a lunchbox in your car. I always keep a lunchbox with me in my car with some cold packs and some snacks. I might leave my lunch in a fridge or something, but I always keep snacks with me with a cold pack in there, so that way I can grab and snack whenever I need to. Because we've all been in a time where we're shoving a granola bar down our face trying to get to the next thing. So always keep those with you. I mean, even if you know you're going to have to eat out on shift, I still throw snacks with me just so I have something with me, even if it's not the best thing. It's whatever is left in the cabinet that day. The main thing here is getting towards the end of shift. So there's a couple ways you can do this. If you're on day shift, obviously you have like your normal hours. You can eat dinner and go to bed. If you're on an evening or a night shift where you're coming off of work and you're going straight to bed, there's a couple ways you can do this. You can have your meal before you go to bed if you want. There's really nothing against that. There's nothing with the food timing, like the myth that's saying you're not supposed to eat late at the night before you go to bed. That's all baloney. My concern with that is eating a big meal before you go to bed is the digestion part of it, because your body's trying to digest as you're also trying to fall asleep. So in that sense, it could interrupt your sleep or make it harder for you to fall asleep, but it's going to vary person to person. So with that, you could do like maybe like a snack towards the end of shift, and then when you get home, you do something small like a turkey and cheese roll up or like a PB&J if you want. If you don't want to eat something big right before you go to bed, or you can take some extra food with you if you want to do more of like a meal towards the end of shift. You can work it that way too. But it just depends on whatever works for you. I know for me on evening shifts, I always worked out at the beginning of the day instead of getting off of work and working out and staying up after shift too. So there's that consideration too. But again, really, this still all stems from that balanced plate template that I've been hounding on, making sure you have your protein in every meal, at least 4 to 5 ounces, filling that in with some starchy carbs, and then veggies, as much veggies as you can. I know some meals are harder than others to grab some veggies, but keeping that in mind. So that covers that and then some. Any questions or any concerns that come up with any of that? No? All good? Okay, cool. Is that helpful information for you guys? New information, or just maybe put out in a different way? Maybe type a yes in the chat or give me a thumbs up or something. I don't know what all Caitlin and Ashley are up to.
Yes, it's helpful. Sorry, I'm driving.
No, you're good. Thank you. I appreciate that. I just want to make sure this is engaging and you guys aren't like, your eyes aren't like glazing over. New info for Desiree. Cool. All right. Beautiful. I just want to make sure this is something you guys are learning from and you're getting some takeaways out of this and stuff that you can implement yourself. And that's my main goal for you. One of my main goals. So, all right, moving on. Unless you guys have questions, we'll move on into the workout side of things. No? Okay. I saw Mary posted that she did one of the AMRAPs this week. Have any of you gotten to either one of the workouts? No, not yet. I know it's Wednesday. You still got the rest of the week yet.
No, I did yard work again today, so I didn't get to the workout, but I will tomorrow.
Okay, cool. Man, I got you. My husband will push mow our lawn, and we have like a couple acres, like just to get a workout in, even though we have a riding mower. So he'll go out and like push mow the whole thing if he wants to work out. So I get it.
Yeah, I don't like riding lawnmowers, so that's the way I do it.
I gotcha. Mine's about busted up and broken from all this rocky everything we have here. Okay. Desiree, I've been doing the workouts at least once a day other than push-ups. All right, girl. Any thoughts, feedback on the workouts? Good, bad, different?
I like them. I think that they're good workouts. They're definitely a lot of stuff I'm used to going through the academy because it's still a lot of stuff that we did there. But I thoroughly enjoy the workouts. So like, I mean, I work out twice a day or at least attempt to. So I usually incorporate it into either my morning or my evening workout.
Perfect. Cool. That's the goal, really. I mean, especially with the bodyweight workouts that I typically write up, they should be applicable to the police academy, or at least maintaining that. We can get more in depth with adding more weights in there, but at least it's something without equipment that you can pretty much do wherever. So good. I'm glad you're liking those. All right. So that's a perfect lead into our workout program. So I wanted to preface this and kind of put it by steps, just depending on where you're at with your fitness journey and where your level of fitness is, because I didn't necessarily do that within this guide. So step one would be trying something for 30 minutes 3 times a day, whether that's walking, whether that's a machine, hopping on a bike. Like, that would be the most basic place that I can encourage you to start, is getting in your movement 30 minutes 3 times a week. If anything, that's starting point one, is just getting yourself moving. Step two would be if you have more of specific goals. And for me, this is kind of like what Desiree was talking about, is more of like the basics, like body weight stuff, and also kind of like your academy prep, academy style workouts where you're moving your own body weight, and you're also getting some higher intensity cardio in there too. So any specific goals, whether it's like push-ups, running, sprinting, maybe just body weight movements, or overall like academy prep, this would be step two. You're starting to work in some of those body weight movements, push-ups, air squats, maybe some long distance running, maybe some sprints, and just types of movements that you'll see within an academy setting, like some flutter kicks or bear crawls or something like that. Which, like I said, is more of like the workouts that I'm giving you guys now, are more of like those body weight workouts, because the other benefit of that too is that there's not really any equipment involved. You can hit these wherever you need, and they're typically maybe 30 minutes start to finish, and then you can work in some stretching in there too. So that would be step two, or maybe level two. Level three would be building on that, and then you'd be working to incorporate your weights. So whether that's having some dumbbells at home, or you can still do some lifting at home, or if you decide you want to get into a full gym where you're starting to work more towards your major lifts, like your squat, your pressing, your deadlifts, things like that, working towards those strength gains and those major lifts, plus adding in cardio to that. But the main basis for all of this is making sure you're getting in your walking, you're getting in those steps. That's why I encourage those step goals, because that's the very basics of everything. Just to get you moving, and also it's a good addition to any workout program, because you're getting in extra movement, especially if you're more sedentary. This might apply to like a facility setting. I'm not sure how much you're sitting during the day, probably not much. But maybe like a detective, like I've had a few detectives say, hey, like I sit behind a desk now, I'm not as active. So getting in those extra steps is a great low impact way to get in some more movement, some more activity, and be a good addition. Can be your sole workout, or a good addition to any sort of workout program. So those would be the main steps of where I would go, as far as where you feel like you should start, is based on where your fitness level is currently. So then this guide goes more further into depth on how to structure those workouts. So overview, if you're in the gym, you're going to typically start with your strength lift for the day. And I give some examples of rep schemes there. From there, you're going to grab some accessory lifts that are within that same muscle group, whether you're picking upper or lower for the day. You can use Google to help you searching an accessory lift for a back squat. It'll usually throw you a handful of movements that you can do, and throw those in there. And then you're going to finish with your cardio. So basically, a lot of these cardio pieces, like the workouts that I'm giving you guys throughout these 3 weeks, are usually what I stick at the end of a workout that I program. That way it's got some strength to it, like you're working push-ups, pull-ups, things like that, but you're also doing it quickly. So there's the heavy breathing and cardio aspect of it too. So it's more like 2 birds, 1 stone type thing. And then with the body weight, you can start with some sort of strength move if you want. Maybe you're working like some squats or some push-ups if that's something specific you want to improve. Maybe even core work. If you feel like your core work's weak, you can make that like your strength piece for the day. And then you're working in the cardio piece. But really with the cardio piece, if you're working at home and you don't have equipment, you're just trying to mix and match movements and reps as much as you can to give you some variety, which again can get a little monotonous if you don't have any equipment. So I typically recommend just to have a couple dumbbells lying around because that even helps with some variety there. So you don't get too burned out if you're just doing body weight stuff at home. But the main takeaways there, and this is another good point to work into. Oh, we got someone else coming in. Jenny's here. I think there's Jenny. I got her down. Hi, Jenny. Glad you're here. Hope you're having a better day. I think you said you're going into work, so I imagine you're probably on shift right now. Nah, you good, girl. Glad you're here. No worries for being late. Happy to have you. I'm glad you hopped on. So, mute. There we go. Maybe. There we go. Okay. So the main takeaways with the workouts, and a good thing to remember, and I can put this in an email too, so you can see the visual I'm talking about. I have a pyramid that I created. At the base of the pyramid is your sleep. So your sleep being your most important thing, making sure you're getting in 7 to 9 hours of sleep if you can. The next tier on top of that would be your self-care, making sure you're doing what you need to take care of your mental health. Because if you don't have sleep and self-care, it's really hard to focus on nutrition or exercise or much of anything else, right? That's basically like survival level foundation mode right there with the sleep and the self-care. After that comes your nutrition and your whole foods. And then the top tier of that is your exercise. So the reason I say that is because sometimes it makes more sense and it's better for your body to get more sleep and self-care than it is to really focus on the exercise. People really hone in saying, hey, like I got to increase my exercise. That's the only way to lose weight. Not really. It's actually the very top and actually the last priority. If you don't have your sleep, self-care, and nutrition in place before that. So I say that to say doing something as far as working out is better than nothing, but keep in mind your energy levels, your sleep. It's a cheesy analogy, but where your cup is, how full is your cup? If you are absolutely freaking drained and you have nothing left to give, it's probably better to take a rest day and get some sleep. If you're feeling pretty good, your sleep and your self-care is great, you're feeling good with your food for the day, hit the gym and make the most of it then. But sometimes a rest day can be more beneficial than trying to kill yourself in the gym. So doing something's better than nothing. So maybe you're having a rough day, but you still want to move. Getting in a walk is a great way to do that. If adding strength is one of your main goals, don't skip the heavy lifting. At a minimum, always keep some cardio in there. Our jobs do require some form of cardio. I like to joke about the bros who only do the bodybuilding curls or whatever. They might be able to be big enough to sit on somebody or lift a freaking car. But if they have to move something quickly from point A to point B or fight somebody on the street, they're going to be dry heaving at the end of it, which is when I usually laugh and give them a hard time because they're like panting way too hard because they never do their cardio. So make sure you keep your cardio in there because you do need some level of agility, especially if you have to fight somebody. But for you fire EMS people, a great example of that is like CPR. If you ever had to do CPR on somebody like a minute into it and you're absolutely dying. Myself included. So what else? I think that pretty much covers it. If you have any questions or any concerns about injuries, you can always work on injuries. So don't let that be a limiting factor for you getting into the gym. There's always a way to work around injuries. Or if you just have any aches and pains or some limitations there's always a way to work around those too. So that covers your shift work nutrition and also a loose guide for the gym side of things as well. Jenny, my goal is to be able to do CPR without looking like I need CPR after. Yes, I agree. I 100% agree. I watched a buddy of mine on patrol one day do that, and he was dripping sweat at the end of it, and he had to go home and like change his uniform. I'm like, dude, that's a struggle. But yeah, no, I agree. CPR is tough. It's tough to do that over and over again, especially when if you think of that, it's kind of like a push-up. And you don't have a whole lot of like your upper body strength is usually weaker than your lower body, right? So it's tough to keep that motion unless you're throwing your whole body into it. Definitely tough. All right, y'all. Well, that's what I have to cover. Do you guys have any questions? I'll just open it up for a question and answer, and we can go from there. So if you guys have your cameras off and have any questions, you can type them in the chat, or if you want to come off mute, either way. Happy to answer questions about any of that or about the challenge or anything else. Not yet been some fun so far. Okay, so I'm glad you're having fun, Laura. That's awesome feedback. I've been having a great time with it too. Anyone else have any other wins or anything they're noticing? Laura, I wanted to celebrate your win of you posted today you've done 30 days of activity in a row, I think it was. So that's pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah, it's just kind of something that I made myself do to pretty much say I could. So I haven't noticed anything major difference, but I mean, it's still a goal.
Okay, cool. So maybe then we can dive in more to your nutrition side of things to see if that's what's holding you back then.
Okay.
So, all right, cool. That's awesome. That's a great goal. And I love that. That's tough for anybody just to keep moving for 30 days. So that's cool. Love that. Awesome job. To the chat. Jenny's down 3 pounds. Woohoo! Celebrate that. It's always good when the scale starts to come down. But remember, I will caveat that the scale is just one data point. So it's not the whole picture. So hopefully you're seeing some other benefits too, as far as maybe just feeling better, higher energy, mental clarity, things like that. Oh, Maverick's saying hello. Hi, dude. Hi. Now is not the time. Oh, get off. Down.
Now is always the time for love.
Yes. When he's not chasing the other dogs around the living room, freaking distracting me. My goofball. Okay. See, now I gotta refocus. Ashley says no questions. Love the community we built and makes getting my steps in someone for fun. Awesome. Fantastic. I love that. And that was one of my main goals, was building that community, because it's been tough to try to pull people to get involved within the group. But that's the one thing I love. And I love that you guys have been commenting on each other's posts too. I think it's great. There's such a wealth of resource and knowledge within that group. I mean, there's 900 people there and it's all female first responders. So using that to your advantage, I think, is the best resource you could possibly have for whatever you're going through, whether you want advice or you're struggling with something or whatever. I think that's awesome. Brenda says, I really like the pyramid and the the specific focus with self-care. I'm horrible about what to do and trying to push through. Self-care is a big thing that I love to talk about because it's the one thing that gets missed the most. And really it only takes 10, 15 minutes a day to set aside maybe some mindfulness practice. I don't have my book with me. I made a post the other day because some friends gifted me like a wellness journal. And like, it basically prompts you to set out your intention for the day. And for me, like, I don't know, it just like changed my perspective day to day of like saying, okay, my intention for the day is like, I don't know, joy or productivity or rest. Like I try to put like one word in there, or maybe just like one thing I want to get done for the day, like workout, like check off my workout for the day. And then it finishes with what went well today. You can journal your thoughts and feelings. And then it finishes with what I'm grateful for. So if you're focusing on the good, like what went well and what you're grateful for, you're going to see more of the good in life versus the negatives, right? And that's what I mentioned. That's what I threw real quickly at Jenny today, to maybe focus on what she's grateful for when she's having a tough mental health day. Where did they get the journal from? I will ask. I'm not positive, but I will ask. And I can send you a picture of what it looks like, because I think they went out of their way and like customized the front of it for me, since it was like a wedding gift. But I'll find out for you, Jenny. Let me make a note to do that. There's all sorts of them. I mean, you could probably Google. There's all sorts of different journals. They're based on your goals or what you're wanting to improve, I think. This one was just like a wellness journal, but it's also got some mindset stuff in there too. So where is the journal from? I'll find out. Cool. It was sweet of them. And it was one of those things you like set aside, but it was like staring at me on the desk. And I was like, I'm gonna try this. and I like it so far. So again, with self-care and being mindful, I mean, it can be whether you're journaling, you're reading, you're taking 10 minutes for your quiet time with coffee in the morning, a long bath, or any hobby that you enjoy. I know especially we get roped into like the first responder mindset that everything we do is around first responders, like finding that hobby that like disassociates you from work, that's completely with different people, different ideas, things like that is a great thing to do. Some people love to paint or draw, um, even if it's like getting on a softball team or something like that. Um, Trying to work that into your weekly schedule. I'm super passionate about that because I've had my own mental health struggles within my career and toxic work environment and things like that. Because at the end of the day, if you don't take care of you, I mean, a lot of people that you work with, you might have your bestie there, but most of your job, your environment, all of that, they're not going to take care of you, which is sad. And I would like to work to overturn that. That's why I love this community and this group, because I want this group to be like supportive and positive. But yeah, if you can take 10, 15 minutes out of your day to work on your mental health, to take your me time is what I like to call it, it's going to make a big difference for you. So that's my soapbox on that. Brenda knits. That's cool. Yeah, knitting's great. That's fantastic. You make cool stuff, and then you got gifts and all sorts of stuff you can just give away to people, or maybe make them pay you. Side hustle. There you go. All right. Cool. Any other questions, comments, concerns before I let y'all go back to enjoy your evening tonight? Speak now.
Nope. Just have a good night, everyone.
All right, cool. You guys are awesome. Super proud of you. Keep up the good work. Everybody's doing awesome. And as always, if you need me, you know where to find me. Shoot me a message and I'll help you the best I can. So have a great week. Have a great weekend. And I will see you all again next week.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.